In this lesson, we're going to build an app that connects to OpenAI to add text generation functionality. So we're going to build kind of like a content remixer here in Lovable. So we're going to be able to add text, and then we're going to hit a button and it's going to remix it and kind of generate a new output. So the reason this lesson is helpful is it's going to teach us how to connect to Supabase, which is going to give us database and edge function capability. Edge functions are going to allow us to connect to OpenAI through an API. An API is basically a way to talk to other software. So it's going to allow us to talk to OpenAI and get a text generation response back in our app. So it's going to teach us these kind of fundamental principles, which are going to be really helpful as we build more complex SaaS apps later on in the course. So I'm going to write the prompt and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so here's the prompt that I wrote. Let's build a content remixer app that allows me to paste in a blog post and get 5 tweets back. I want the tweets to be high quality and not use any hashtags, and they should be engaging. I want to use OpenAI's API and use the GPT-4o model. It's important to specify the model that you want to use. Now, you don't have to, otherwise it might make a choice for you. Sometimes I've noticed that the AI that it's using is trained and it doesn't know about a certain model. So this won't be the case with GPT-4o because it should know what that is. But if you're using a newer model, you have to really specify what you want the AI to use. And then I'm going to say the design should be modern and easy to use, but also have a retro flair. I kind of liked that in the portfolio site that we generated. So let's go ahead and spin it up. So I'll pause the video while it's spinning up everything to get started. All right, cool. So here's the first draft that it created. It came up with a little name, TweetMixer Pro. I like that. Now, what it did is it set up the first version of this app to allow any user to enter their own OpenAI key, and then it's going to generate based on that. So let's test that out, and then I'm going to show you afterwards how to connect to Supabase and set up your OpenAI key so that anyone can use the app without having to enter in their own API key. But as you can see, it says it's stored locally and never sent to our servers, which is cool. So what we want to do, go over to platform.openai.com. If you don't have an account, it's free to do as well. You may have to enter in a credit card because doing an API call to OpenAI costs some money. It's really cheap, like fractions of a cent to do a lot of these things that we're going to be doing. But I'm going to go ahead, just create a new secret key. It's going to be called Tweet Mixer Test, and I'll just go ahead and create the key, copy it. Now, again, you want to make, I'm going to delete this later. You want to make sure that yours is safe because this is basically a password into your OpenAI account. But I'm going to go ahead, I'll paste that in. And I like how it had that functionality off the bat of just hiding it. And let's get a blog post to paste in. Okay, so I just got a blog post from Google's blog announcing Gemini 2.0, which is a new AI model that they just created or released. So I pasted it in, and I'm going to click Generate 5 tweets. So it's generating the tweets, and it looks like it did not perfectly work. So somehow it didn't convert it correctly. So this is where the debugging comes in. So what I'm going to say is I just tested a blog post and I only see 2 tweets. Also, I see weird formatting and also the tweets are not great. I want to see 5 tweets that summarize a different part of the blog post. Okay, so I'll just put in that edit. Maybe yours worked correctly. It's possible that it did and that the AI just messed up mine. But we'll have it kind of update that. The other thing that's kind of cool is if you click on that code, you can see exactly what OpenAI or what it's doing to generate the prompt. Now, something else, I'm just going to share a tip. If you're ever working with an AI API in the future and it's not working, something that can be helpful is copying the syntax from the documentation and just pasting it into Lovable so that it knows. But I don't think that's going to be the issue with OpenAI. It should know how to work with this OpenAI model. So let's just try it again. It says that it fixed it, so I'm going to click generate. It looks like the blog is still there. So let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So it looks like it did 3 that are good, and then 2 are not. I do like how it has this copy feature. But what I'm going to do is say, I'm just going to screenshot it, put that in, and this is how we can kind of debug. I'm going to say, there are now 5, but the first 2 are not tweets. Okay, so it says it's fixed it. It kind of sees the issue, which is that it was showing the JSON formatting instead of the content. So let's try again. I'm going to click generate 5 tweets. And hopefully this time it works correctly. And here we go. So, yep, this worked correctly. We have 5. And these actually, I think, are pretty good. I like these. So I can copy it and I could tweet them out. So pretty cool. It did this correctly. All right, so the next step in this project of what I want to show you how to do is, instead of having the OpenAI key be something that people have to enter in themselves, I want it to be part of the application. So kind of like when you use ChatGPT, you don't enter in your OpenAI key, you purchase a subscription, and then you have access to the tool. And then the company is going to pay for whatever costs are associated with their API key that's connected. So to do this, and there's also a specific way to do this in a secure way so that your API key is not exposed. Now, your API key is not exposed in this version. It's only stored on your browser. But if we're building this so other people are using it, we want to make sure we're not storing it just right in the code. And there's a secure way to do that. And I'll show you how. So the next thing I'm going to say is, now let's connect Supabase so that way we can have the API key be in the backend so users don't have to add their own. So we'll let that load. And while that's happening, go to supabase.com, supabase.com, and you're going to want to create a free account. So this is another tool that's really important. And this is what allows you to kind of have your backend database and connect to other API services, as I mentioned before. So go ahead, create a free account. Click a new project, choose your organization. You want to create a name. And I believe you also should be able, on the free Supabase plan, to do 2 projects for free. Once you're on the paid plan, you do have to pay $10 a month for the compute. But you also can, I'm going to set this up and then cancel it later on. But go ahead, just enter in your information, create a password, and click Create New Project. So you want to do this before we do the next step inside of Lovable. So here what it's saying is it's happy to do this. It's telling us it's going to process the API request on the edge function, keep sensitive information safe. And then it's saying use Lovable's built-in Supabase integration. So that's why we want to go up here, click on Supabase. We can see we are connected. So if you haven't used Supabase before, you're going to need to connect. And then once your Supabase project is connected, you just have to wait for your project to initialize, and that could just take about a minute or 2. So I'm going to pause the video. Once it's initialized, this will show up as a connection. We're just going to go ahead and click connect. So now it says it is connected to our workspace. So we can go back to project, and here we go. It says it's now connected. So what I want to do is say, great, why don't I just go back and I can just copy the request I already did. I want to connect Supabase so that way we can have the API key in the backend. Okay, so it should do all of this for us pretty quickly. So what's nice about Lovable is it makes it easy. We can just add our API key right here. It tells us exactly what to do. So I'm going to go back. Actually, I should be able to just copy it from there, hopefully, if I just undo it. Add API key. Paste that in, click submit. Okay, so it says I've now added the API key. And now it's creating that edge function. And like I mentioned before, the edge function is what's going to allow us to connect to OpenAI. And it's going to save get the response in the backend so that the user doesn't have to enter in their API key on the front end. All right, cool. So it says that it did it correctly. So let's test it out. Let's go get that blog again. And I'm going to copy it and paste it in. And let's click generate 5 tweets. Okay, there we go. Right off the bat, we're getting an error. So I'm going to say, got an error. And I'll just copy it, or I'll type it in. Failed to send a request to the edge function. Okay, so this is the kind of debugging that you have to do when you're working with Lovable. So what it's going to do is look at the logs. And then we can also click on view edge function or view edge function logs. And it'll open that edge function that it just created. And we can see the logs. And it looks like it just never sent at all. So otherwise there would be an error. Okay, so it's going to fix it here. It should resolve it. It says that it fixed it. Okay, so let's try again. I'll click generate. Okay, different error now. Supabase.auth.session is not a function. Okay, so this is where you can go back and forth to try to fix it. Okay, so it says that it should be fixed now. Let's try again. Okay, new error. Now the error says process is not defined. Please fix this so it fully works. Okay. All right, so it says that it fixed it. Let's try again. All right, now it says failed to generate tweets. I'm curious if I click on the edge function, if it even sent it or if there was an error. It looks like at least we got something. Okay, so that's good. You always want to get different errors. So new error, failed to generate tweet. But I'm going to say, or let's just see, it's going to look at those logs itself. All right, cool. So yeah, it did look at the logs like we did, and which is kind of nice. It's like, okay, the AI is doing what we were doing as humans. It sees the error and it's modifying the code to correctly work. So the reason is that what I'll just explain what it sees. So this token, when it says authentication issue, what authentication is referring to is whether the user is logged in or logged out. Now, because we are currently logged out, there is no login that we've built currently in the app. That means is that it was expecting the user to be logged in, and that's why it wasn't working. So hopefully now it does work. So I'm going to click generate 5. And again, still getting the same error, still getting failed to generate tweets error. Okay. And this is why I wanted to do this example, because edge functions are a pretty common thing that you're going to want to add to your app. And if it's not working, you want to know how to debug it. All right, so I'm testing it. I just clicked generate tweets, and this time it did work successfully. So just kind of a good example of going back and forth with the AI, giving it the errors, and it kind of iteratively is going to solve this for us. So here we go. We got our 5 tweets, and now our app works with the Supabase app connected with edge functions working. So anyone here now, if you publish this, could go on this and use it. Now you would be paying for this on your with your own OpenAI key, the way that we set it up. But this is currently an app that anyone could use. And of course, as next steps, we could add a paywall and make people pay for it. And then we would have kind of a fully functioning SaaS app here. But pretty cool. Hopefully, this is making you think about other ways that you could use Lovable to build other types of tools like this.